The cerebral cortex is the outer layer of the brain responsible for most complex mental functions, such as thinking and planning. The brainstem is the oldest part and central core of the brain, beginning where the spinal cord swells as it enters the skull. The medulla controls the heartbeat and breathing. It begins where the spinal cord enters the skull. The reticular formation is responsible for the sleep-wake cycle. It is a finger-shaped network of neurons inside the brainstem between the ears. Pons play a key role in sleeping and dreaming, which overlaps the reticular formation and medulla. The cerebellum coordinates voluntary movement. It has two rounded structures extending from the rear of the brainstem. The thalamus receives incoming sensory info, except for smell, and relays it to the cortex. It is embedded on the brainstem.
Basal ganglia works with the cerebellum and cerebral cortex to control voluntary movements at the base of the forebrain. Hypothalamus controls many motivated behaviors like eating, drinking, and sexual activity below the thalamus. Pituitary gland controls growth and regulates other glands. Master gland, just below the hypothalamus. The hippocampus, involved in learning and the storage of long-term memories in the medial temporal lobe. Amygdala influences aggression, fear in the front portion of the temporal lobe. Corpus callosum, band of neural fibers connecting the two hemispheres and sends message between them. Frontal lobe, involved in personality, intelligence, and voluntary control of muscles.
The parietal lobe processes sensory info and registers location. The motor cortex controls voluntary movement in the frontal lobe. The sensory cortex detects and interprets info and allows us to perceive shape and texture of an object behind the motor cortex. The occipital lobe processes and responds to visual stimuli. The temporal lobe is involved in hearing, language processing, and memory. Broca's area is in the frontal lobe near the motor cortex, is responsible for the areas of the face used in speaking. And Wernicke's area is located in the temporal lobe and is responsible for understanding speech.